Hey, let's go ahead and we're going to jump right into functions. So today we're going to be looking at a couple of different standards, but what I want you to do is let's go ahead and read this bell ringer here. So it says a cliff diver's height above water in meters is modeled by the function h of d equals negative d squared plus 2d plus 24, where d represents how far the diver is from the cliff. Okay, how far from the cliff will the diver be when she reaches the water? So I want you to take a moment and try to solve this. How far will that diver be when she reaches the water? Okay, so to answer this, we need to actually factor this. So in order to factor something, remember we have to set we have to set everything equal to 0 and to solve. So a couple things you could do here. We could factor out a negative. So we could do minus 2d plus, minus 24, and then we could factor this. So we would have 0 equals negative times. We would have d minus, well, we need to figure out what multiplies to get negative 24, adds to get negative 2. That would be negative 6 and 4. So we'd have a negative 6, and then d plus 4, right? So if I set everything equal to 0, that negative is just going to disappear for us, right? So if I set each one of these equal to 0, I have d minus 6 equals 0, d plus 4 equals 0. When I solve, d equals 6 or d equals negative 4? Well, our distance from that cliff can't be negative, so we'd be looking at 6 meters. All right, very good. Let's go ahead and look at the next problem. So given the function f of x equals negative x squared plus 8x plus 9, does this represent a maximum or a minimum? Explain your answer. Well, I'm hoping that you said maximum, because when that a value is negative, remember that parabola is going to be opening down, which indicates that we have a maximum value. So to find what this maximum value is, we need to find that vertex. So to find the x-coordinate of the vertex, we're going to take negative b, our 8 values b, and we're going to divide it by 2a. So my x-coordinate of my vertex is 4, right? So to find the y, we're just going to plug back into that original equation. So we've got 4 squared, which is 16 times a negative 1, plus 8 times 4 is 32, plus 9. So if we combine all of these, so negative 16 plus 32 plus 9. Oops, did something wrong here. There we go. Plus 9 equals 25. So my vertex is going to be at positive 4, 25. So whenever you're asked to find the vertex, you take your x value. Okay, you can find that x value by using this formula. Remember, you're not given that formula on your EOC. Highly encourage you to remember it. You find your x value, plug it in, and find y. All right, we've got a lot of things to look at today, so let's keep going on. We have a cannonball. It's shot from the top of an ocean cliff as shown. The height in meters of the cannonball above the water is given by the formula h of t equals negative 5t squared plus 15t plus 8, where t is the number of seconds after the shot. Determine whether the following statements are true or false. So go ahead and pause the video, read through those, and tell me if each one is true or false. So the cannon is 8 meters above the water. Okay. Well, that is going to be true because our initial value is 8. Our initial value is 8. Okay. The cannonball reaches a maximum height at 1.5 seconds after it's shot. Well, in order to figure that out, right, we can plug in, we can do that, that vertex, negative b divided by 2. So negative 15 divided by 2 times negative 5. So we'd have negative 15 over negative 10. So its maximum height is going to be 1.5. That's true. The cannonball hits the water after 8 seconds. Well, to figure out where this point is, that's where x is now 0 again. So we would need to factor this, right, and find out if that's true, if this time over here is 8 seconds. So we could factor that, we could figure out where that time is at, right? But the 8 up here, remember, is indicating our initial value. So this statement's going to be false. Okay, moving right along. What are the x-intercepts of this parabola? Remember, when you have a parabola, there are 2 x-intercepts. Sometimes there's no x-intercepts. But where these x-intercepts are where the graph crosses the x-axis, and that is at negative 1, 0 and 5, 0. Okay. What are the intercepts of the line with the equation 2x minus 3 equals 30? So my suggestion to you, first of all, put this in standard form. If you notice, there's no exponents on the x, so that makes this linear. So we need to turn this into a linear function. So go ahead, take a moment, put this into a linear equation, and then let's solve. So in order to write this in a linear equation, we need to move the x to the other side. So now I have negative 3y equals negative 2x plus 30. So if you notice, I need my mx on that right side and the y by itself. So in order to isolate that y, I'm going to divide everything by that negative 3. So here's my standard form. My slope-intercept form. I've now converted this from standard form into slope-intercept form. In order to find the y-intercept, we plug 0 in for x. So if I plug 0 in for x and solve, y is equal to 10. In order to find the x-intercept, we plug 0 in for y, and we solve. So if I were to solve this for for x, here we go, and I can multiply both sides by that 3 over 2. Remember, we can multiply a fraction by its reciprocal, right? 3 times 10 is 30, divided by 2 is 15. So my x-intercept is going to be at 15, 0. My y-intercept is going to be at 0, 10. There we go. And I know we are whizzing right along through these, but if you need to, take a pause and check out these again, watch them again. All right, right underneath. The graph shows a relationship between the number of cookies a presenter at a convention had left to give away and the number of presentations she made. What does the x-intercept mean? So what does this point down here mean? Read through those and try to answer this. So go ahead and pause. So what this means is the maximum number of presentations the presenter made before running out. So she made 6 presentations before she ran out of cookies. Ooh, I love this one. So it says, which equation is represented in the graph below. Well, in order to figure this out, let's look at our zeros, our roots. Our roots are at x equals -3 and at +2. So if you think about this, we need to work backwards, because typically what happens is we set our factors equal to 0 and we solve. So what I need to do is I need to undo this. I need to set, let me scribble this out. I need to set x equals -3 equal to 0, which means I would need to add 3 to both sides. So one of my factors is x plus 2, x plus 3. The other factor, if I move this 2 over, would be x minus 2 equals 0. So now when I look over here at these quadratics, I say, okay, well, I'm going to FOIL this out. So if I FOIL this out, I get x squared minus 2x plus 3x minus 6. So if I combine here, I would end up with answer choice. Oops, looks like this got changed just a little bit here. Right here, answer choice C. Answer choice C. Nice. Okay, we're almost through. Just a couple more here. Which graph of the line with which is the graph of the line with x-intercept 1/2 and y-intercept 1? Take a peek at all of these graphs and select an answer. If you said graph B, that is correct. Here's our y-intercept of 1. Here's our x-intercept of a +1/2. Oh, these last ones. A polynomial function contains the factors x, x minus 2, and x plus 3. So x, x minus 2, and x plus 3. Which graph represents this? So go ahead and take a look at that for just a moment, and then we will respond. Okay, so when I'm looking at this, I have 1, 2, 3 zeros. So I can't choose B because that only hits twice. So now we're between 1 or 3. Well, remember, if I set each factor equal to 0, that's where these are going to cross the x-axis. So my zeros should be at 0, +2, and -5. So your answer is 1 only. Okay, so last question here for today. It says several points are plotted. Select the plotted points on the graph that represent the zeros of the function. Go ahead and think about this for a moment, and then we will discuss. So in order to figure this out, let's first factor this. So I need two numbers that multiply to get -8, add together to get +2. That would be x plus 4, x minus 2. So we have a total of 3 zeros. If I set these all equal to 0, I get x equals -4, x equals 2, and x equals 6. So 6 here, we've got a 2 here, and we've got a -4. So we'd have 2, -4, and +6. All right, guys, please make sure you're practicing all of these standards. All these standards can be found on your class plan for today. Practice, practice, practice in USA Test Prep. I will see you all soon. Goodbye.